Hey everybody, welcome to another Retro Game Night podcast. I am your host, Damian DeCarlo, and today I have with me none other than, hey, Earl Lawrence. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Hey,
Hey,
Earl.
hey, it's Earl
I
Lawrence.
absolutely love that that's your handle because I always want to just call you Hey, Earl.
There you go. But hey, Earl was clearly taken, so I had to throw in Lawrence.
It also reminds me of when we were like younger. I don't know if you remember the show Hey Arnold.
Yeah. And there's a song, Hey Jude.
Yeah. Wow, we're really dating ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
it's
how are you, dude? Everything good?
everything's good. It's been busy. Summer is winding down, but it's still hot. Recently just had a birthday
Yeah,
celebration.
I was about to say you had a birthday, man. Happy birthday.
Yeah, did. It was thank you. Thank you for the greeting. Appreciate it. A lot of people reached out. It's good. Feel the love for sure. So thank you for everybody that reached out and wished me a happy birthday. Yeah, I had a great time celebrating with family and friends. And then my two beautiful daughters. We had a great time. So it was
Nice.
overall good. Yeah. And then back to
Better.
school all on top of that. So it's just been a busy, say busy couple weeks since we last recorded. And then yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we've definitely been busy and such is life. Unlike when we were kids, like when we play these retro games we're about to talk about, we had a
yeah,
lot more time than we do now.
right. Such is life. That's such a good thing.
But
Yeah, just how about you? How's everything going with you? What's new? Mr.
good.
LA, Mr. DTLA himself.
That's me, the LA guy. Yeah, work is good. I'm all over the place now, not unlike before. But yeah, it's just putting my putting my nose to the grindstone, doing all that I can do. If I had
Hey,
several more arms, that would be a lot better for me. I could
yeah.
do it all at once.
And and you're that guy, networking is key and networking is what you do. Excuse me. Let me make sure my phone is on silent. But yeah, networking is important and I see you're doing a lot of that. So it's really good to see you out there and doing the stuff that you are with a bunch of people, a lot of great things. And obviously, I don't know if we talked about Comic Con. I know you went to Comic Con recently when it
I
just passed.
did. I
How was
did.
it?
It
How
was
was
really good.
cool.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I went for all of the days. I want to say it kind of just blended together. It was just
Yeah.
really a lot, but we had a great time. We ran into old friends and were able to catch up with other professionals in the industry.
Mhm.
Always a good time, and it was the first one in about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Then we had the San Diego Comic Con due to the pandemic, so it was nice
Right.
to get back there finally again.
So everything was lifted. It was, all rooms and just the
Yeah,
vastness of it. It felt like the original Comic Con days pre-pandemic.
I would say things feel a little different. I think people are
Okay.
more apprehensive. The mask wearing was mandated inside at all times, so it was very. They were very strict on that, which was for the better because I mean there was just so much going on, so many people, and then now with this monkeypox thing going around, I think it's just getting people a little more concerned again.
Oh yeah. So how does that work out? Like I think it's best to do cosplay then. So if you're cosplaying, you
Yeah,
already have a mask, right? Essentially. So
exactly.
there
Yeah,
you
I was
go.
gonna say if I had a decent
Double
mask
mask.
where I didn't have to do that, I could be there was some guy I saw dressed up. I think he was Sub-Zero or Scorpion for Mortal Kombat. I'm like, that's perfect. Your whole mouth is covered and
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
All
cool.
right. Well, speaking of retro games, we are
Mhm.
recording today about a specific game, Star Fox. But before we get into that, I think there may be something in the news.
Yeah. We
Earl,
do have
what's going down?
retro gaming news, big release coming out. In my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people that love this franchise, we have a big release that Konami's releasing on 8/30, so in the next couple days, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection. They're
Ooh.
releasing it for about $40, 39.99, and there's 13 of their historical games that they have. So if you played any of these games, just a run through of the quick, a couple ones that I do remember playing and that it is on this release. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade, the Turtles in Time, you have the Manhattan Project, Tournament Fighters. Again, the Turtles in Time. version 4, I believe, the fourth release of it.
Right.
And there's all this Fall of the Foot Clan that was on the Game Boy. And they're releasing this on a bunch of consoles, but one important one I want to talk about, or one that really stood out, was the Nintendo Switch. So again, with the Nintendo Switch being where it's at, I think it's great to see that you can get all these games through one service that they're doing. And it's,
Yeah,
again, 13 games. You order it for $40 and you get to play through it. And we probably are going to walk through a couple of these games like we're doing now.
I would
I
love
think it's
to. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Those
So
those
you're
games are
big.
so impactful. I mean, ever since then, it's been even bigger than it already was, and it's spawned a bunch of movies from there, and then the TV show was
Yeah.
going on during that time. So, yeah, those would be great to cover.
If you're a big Ninja Turtles fan, definitely look out for it. 8/30/2022 release date. Should be amazing, and it's good for them, getting all of these games that they had or that we've played back in the day. And again, we're talking retro gaming, things can
Right.
only go so far, and they're going so back now with all these new releases, and they're making it, it's jogging the memories just a little bit, bringing us to when we were those ripe youthful age and being able to play these games now. I think it's cool again, and have
Yeah,
our children or whatever play these games and have some relation to that. But I think it's cool.
they're doing most of these retro games with not just save states, but now they're doing rewind features. So you're able to just redo what previously you were just doing in 5 seconds, and just like
Right.
rewinding on a VCR back in the old days. And so you're able to jump back and play again without having to hit certain buttons to just load a state again, which is pretty convenient. And I think that's brilliant that
Mhm.
they're doing that with these games that were very difficult.
And the cool part about it, it's like the same way you played it as a kid in the arcade. It's 4 players. It plays up to 4 players. So
Right.
you could choose, which character you want to play, whether it's Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, or Raphael. It's and you play through the stages, and I think it's going to be a cool thing to come out. And that's the latest that I had pulled from the retro gaming news for
Perfect.
today.
Look out for that, everybody. Definitely pick it up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I definitely love that we're doing this episode. We're going to talk about Star Fox. This is the
All right.
Star Fox, the very first entry in the franchise, and this was for Super Nintendo, released in 1993. This is definitely something that I think had a big impact because you have the special VFX chip that was included with this. This was something that was a big show off for the Super Nintendo. You had,
Yeah.
obviously this is not too far after the launch of the Super Nintendo, which was
Yeah.
great. So it came out early on, but you had a decent, library of games already that were beautifully done already at this point, because we were used to, early Sega Genesis, but then also old Nintendo. But
Mhm.
then you got this polished off 16-bit. You had like Zelda, Link to the Past. You had, Super Mario World, and everything looked
Mhm.
beautiful. And now you have this 3D effect that everybody, I
It
remember everyone loved.
Yeah,
Very
innovation at
exciting.
its finest. I think the design of it, and they had a bunch of designers, to help with this game. It was the first game I think that they even tested out or did or released with that 3D functionality. To play this game, it's a rail shooter game. I think that was a good concept, and it had a great storyline behind it. Again, this microchip was a big deal for Nintendo, and it
Right.
really set them apart from this 2D world that they used to have with Super Mario. And now you're in this version of you're in a starfighter jet, and you're going through these different stages, and it has that 3D feel, and you're playing things in different perspectives. You could either be in first point of view or third point of view, right? So you could see your spaceship in front of you, or you could be in the, and there's different stages where you're
Right.
then inside the spaceship and you're going through the asteroid world and you're shooting all these things. But yeah, I'm getting more into the gameplay itself. But yeah, the microchip was revolutionary, I think, in what was important with this game and what set this game apart. And now with the success they had with the Star Fox team and everybody that was part of this whole. I mean, they generated multiple games after the original Super Nintendo Star Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. The well, let's get in a little bit of the plot. So the plot of the game Star Fox 1993 takes place in a fictional planetary system called the Lilat system. In this system, you had a bunch of interesting creatures, but very familiar to us animal species such as foxes, frogs, birds, rabbits, and apes. It contains the planet Corneria and Venom, which at the end would be the ultimate battle with the evil scientist known as Andros. Um,
Mhm.
this game was your classic sci-fi, yeah, sort of Star Wars vibe, and it was a different world. I think it was fun to do it with not people, but with furry animals. So
Animal.
it was already in
Yeah.
this cute mode that they were on with Mario and all this. Um,
Yeah.
and it still was looking back just recently playing it again, it was still while it looked cutesy, it was dramatic. I mean, you you lost sometimes your teammate, they would crash and they would be like freaking out, and it was the music was dramatic. It was very just like a
Yeah.
orchestrated sort of vibe for its 16-bit era.
Yeah. And it allowed you to play with a team, even though they're all, it's all staged, right? So you're not playing it as a multiplayer with other people on a console. You're playing, you have three other characters behind you. And I think the characters' names for themselves, you touch on it, but Fox McCloud, right? It's this cool
Right.
looking Star Fox guy right behind you on your video there. And he's Star Fox. He has a cool jacket with the handkerchief, just kind of like a cowboy fighter, but in space,
Totally.
and then you have Slippy Toad, this turtle, and you would see their names and their things come up in their dialogue sequence, and you have Peppy Hair, the rabbit, and then Falco Lombardi. Like think about something really cool. Like Falco is just this really cool character. He's in on my picture here.
Yeah.
But Falco looks like just this evil, like cool, I got your back type of guy, and let's go and you're the leader, you're the Star Fox leader, but you have a cool crew behind you, in going through this, going through these different stages in this planet, and fighting against the forces of Andros.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I remember that when playing this game, you it was it's funny when you remember when you're a kid later on,
Yeah.
it sticks with you. Like the things that stick with me with playing Star Fox was a certain level of anxiety, but it was a fun anxiety. It wasn't like
Yeah.
frustrating. It wasn't horrible. It was just like you're trying to multitask in the sense of like you're trying to shoot everything in the way. You're also saving
Yeah.
your teammates because sometimes they would message you like, "I'm getting a hit," and you're just like, "Oh crap, I need to save my teammate
Right.
here." And it
Yeah,
was
you
just
need to
like,
just start blasting away and figure out
yeah,
right behind them. You're gonna shoot and save your teammate, and they're like, and they'll say, "Thank you for saving me, Star."
exactly, yeah. And
Yeah.
then the sound effects were kind of funny when they would talk too. I mean, it wasn't like completely unheard of that there would be video games with voice, but like this case, it was just mumbling with text. But I do recall in this cartridge, I remember there would be the guy in I forget his name, but the looked like a hound that was your general, and he would say "good
That
look,"
was your
like
general. Yeah.
yeah, just like
And
little things like that were new for a cartridge.
and I know we're talking about the OG Star Fox for the SNES, and then Star Fox 64 came out, and it just blew your mind again because you're just
Yeah,
like, what? And you're coming out of this chute and you're flying through. As you're entering the tunnel, you're like, dude, you got all these people, you got your characters going in, they're boarding the ship, and it's all this really cool things we're used to seeing now. But back then, you were just like, this is like, you're ready to play. Your hands are on the remote control. You're like getting anxious. You're like, let's go start, shooting up these, other spaceships. But
right.
the difference between obviously the 64 version and the SNES was really, the spaceship itself. The spaceship was simple when you first saw it, but it still had that sequence of you're flying out through this little tunnel, but you see the squares. Again, it's a lot of pixelated images. I think I don't want to say pixelated, but it's more like dot,
I think you
like
mean polygons.
polygons. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. The actual word is polygons. It's a lot of polygons, and obviously that's probably just because of what the 16-bit could do. Didn't have that much.
Well,
Um,
here's the crazy thing about that is actually
yeah,
16-bit didn't really do that. That's what's funny. Pixelated actually is what was part of 16-bit. But here's what's funny is that what it did and the speed it would play is on par with already what would become the PlayStation 1. And this was years before the PlayStation 1 came out or
mhm,
years
mhm,
before the Sega Saturn. So this was
yeah,
very revolutionary, and it was smooth. It wasn't running like a turtle the whole time. It was, pretty awesome for a I want to say 60 hertz CRT television. It was really
yeah.
it flowed really well. So This
And
was
the
way ahead of its
space,
time.
right? And the spaceship had, it was all based off of triangles, right? So it was
Right,
all these triangle shapes put together, and the controlling of it, which, when you got the Super Nintendo, you had these four buttons, and then you also had the left and right toggles. And you're like, well,
right.
what are these for now? And you could actually barrel roll this spaceship to avoid certain things go through. And I'm like, this is cool. And I remember just, let me just, go ahead and go through it. And your spaceship is doing this and it's turning this way. And you're like, wow, that's cool. Because before you're just used to the up, down, left, right directional. Now
Right.
you have your spaceship doing all this crazy stuff, and while you're shooting and blasting stuff away, you're also trying to avoid these towers that are trying to come down and go through or go under. And yeah, it's
It's weird that we had right before this the original Nintendo with just two buttons, and then now we go from two to six buttons.
six.
And so
Yeah,
that took a lot of getting used to. And this wasn't a time where a lot of buttons were around. So this was, like
yeah.
a new thing to get used to and get
Like a
acquainted
bumper.
with.
What's a bumper? But and then now you play
Exactly.
those, and
Yeah.
there's two
Now we call
triggers,
them
right? And those are the
bumpers,
trigger.
right?
But
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was really cool. I think the training program in the game offered in the beginning was really nice because you're able to just, practice run it, which was unique
yeah.
for a lot of the games that came out. I can recall maybe I don't know if it's Pilot Wings or
That
F-Zero.
I was just about to say that. Yes, that reminded me of Pilot Wings, because Pilot Wings was that where you would jump through and you would go through this, like, let's say you're
like the
skydiving,
like the
you
loops
go through
and
these rings.
yeah.
Yeah, there's rings and you're falling down. Again, it's 2D, so you're just seeing yourself fall, and then you're going through these rings. Yeah, yeah, Pilot Wings was such a cool game too.
Yeah,
It did remind me of
absolutely.
that.
Yeah, that definitely deserves props. But yeah, for this kind of game, flying in the sky in a spaceship. So this game was what's classified as a rail shooter, and this would be on
Mhm.
par with what some people may not realize. Rail shooters, it's not specific to just spaceship games. You have, if you recall, Time Crisis, that shooting game.
Yeah.
That's a
Hmm.
real shooter. So the games
Going through
that
the stage. Yeah.
the games that carry you along and you're just doing specific actions with where it's carrying you. So it's not linear in the sense that 2D is just moving from left to right. This is 3D, but it's actually going a certain way. You're kind of making moves in a movie, if you will. um
Yeah.
a lot of the games that would be reminiscent of those things would be something like see, I had some of them here. Tempest, for those that maybe remember that from the 80s in the arcade. That's like you're in a tunnel in a ship and you're also doing the same thing, just kind of maneuvering around. That's also a rail shooter. As I mentioned, Time Crisis, House of the Dead. Those would be the classifications for this kind of game. It would be that style. With this
Dating
game, I oh sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, dating back to this game too, I think, those original rail shooters, I don't think they had like such a storyline except to just go through these stages and you just kind of blast everything on sight. I think this one had a really cool story about, the
Yeah,
fox and going through these different stages. And when you first start off, you have, I believe it was like a hard, medium, or normal, easy, right? So you could choose which direction on how to end
right.
up. But overall, it had a really cool storyline for the game, which kind of had that extra, like, ooh, like now I want to beat it. Now I want to play it more, instead of just, you could put a rail shooter game and be like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna blast everything inside and get to the level and finish the game, be done.
Right.
This one you could follow through and you're like, oh, cool, where's the fox gonna take us, or where are we gonna go next, or what's this stage look like, or how am I gonna, avoid these asteroids that are coming into my way, or whatever it is. I thought it had a lot of depth to the video game itself when they first came out, where it wasn't just like the same thing you would see over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. This game had a high replay value. Just remembering right now as you said this, the different paths you can take when you finish the first level. You can take a path through certain alignment of
Mhm.
planets, and then you can take another
Yeah,
path, and all would end up at the same place to face Andros at the end. But it was nice that you had different ways of going about playing this game, different paths, I should say. So the
difficulty levels. That's what it was too. The difficulty levels for those paths are different.
Oh, so that's what that was. So each one had a different
Yeah.
difficulty then. Okay. Yeah. So
Right.
I would
Mhm.
imagine then they would look a little different too, which was kind of cool. You
Yeah.
would be able to play hard and it would look different than it would on easy.
Yeah, you would have more action. You'd have more fighters. You'll have, one of those where it's just a little bit harder to get through.
So this game was originally a prototype on the NES back in the day. It was an 8-bit game called Star Glider. It was later released as Star Glider 2, if I'm not mistaken, but it had early stages where it tried to do sort of a 3D vibe. But cartridges were so limited back then as far as what you could put on there. I can't even remember right now, but
Yeah.
we're talking megabytes. I mean, I want to say 10 megabytes
Yeah.
a cartridge, something ridiculous like that. I mean, that might be a little generous even. So these games had so much imagination for what could actually fit on the cartridge. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that they even tried pushing the boundaries back in 8-bit games. Um, Props to the programmers for that.
Yeah. I think the history of it too, and how the concept and design. If you saw or read some of the research on the concept and design too, on how they came up with the Fox and everything like that, um, the development team led by Shigeru Miyamoto redesigned what had been a tech demo into the rail shooter. So I think they were just trying to do what you were saying, where
Right.
they were just trying to develop this game, and it became this very cool rail shooter. And they got, and I was reading that he had this vision and how he got like all these characters through some place, and I want to say there's a shrine. It's a fox holding a key in its mouth at the main gate of the Fushimi Inari Shrine in Japan. And I guess that's where he really absorbed this information of like, okay, well, I can do something with this fox, and the
Right.
other characters came into play. And it just was this whole aspect of going through this process of then now we're going to design this game based off of these characters, not of normal people or not of this. We're going to go really out there with it. And I think that was awesome to do, and the concept of it, and it feels like it wasn't rushed. I'm sure the development team took a long time, especially in trying to redesign what we know as the was it the FX chip, or what was
Right. The FX chip,
the
super FX
Super
chip.
FX chip was in itself going through stages two of development, but this was the release with that chip that kind of set everything up in there. Again, Star Fox became this really cool game. And I remember first getting the game as a child, and I'm like, okay, this is, you're seeing the commercials, you're seeing all the things about this new game release or whatever, and you're hearing it from your friends. And once it released, you're playing it, and you're like just mind blown. You're just so excited to play this new game and be able to play it in this 3D rail shooter, like we said. I think the concept of it too, and back in the day, I don't know when Top Gun came out. I know we're just talking Top Gun recently because of the new movie,
Yeah.
but it's that you're playing this fighter jet, and that's what it is. It's a fighter jet in a spaceship version, but it looks like a fighter jet, like a typical F-14 or F-18, whatever fighter jet. This is the R
That's
wing.
that's crazy that you brought that up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'd never thought of that. This is completely Top Gun vibes. I mean, you have your buddies and
Yeah,
yeah, and jets next to you flying. I can't think of the other
yeah,
games being that way before in NES. They, not to my knowledge, they were just,
right,
these ones that like R type or whatever that were just, or
right. And
in the
it came
arcade
out.
ones.
Yeah, and it came out. You could do those barrel rolls. You could do those things. And you're like, oh well, I remember watching a movie, or again seeing this, and you're like,
Right.
those are fighter jets. That is so cool. But again, you add this extra layer of these cool characters. You add this extra layer of this, asteroids and things that are coming in your way that you have to avoid, versus just jet to jet combat. I think that was
Right.
a really cool aspect of it. And even going to like the other missions that they had. And again, you have your wingman that you have to protect. I think it was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, all that was just major movie vibes, very sci-fi movie vibes.
Yeah.
The success of Star Fox, I mean, this had so many sequels. I mean, you had Star Fox 64, you had Star Fox Adventures, you had Star Fox Assault. These were for the GameCube. Star Fox Command, Star Fox Zero. I mean, this just went on and on. And then the unreleased sequel, Star Fox 2, was developed in the 90s, but was canceled due to the fact that they were developing at the time the Nintendo 64. Um, the sequel to Star Fox was later released. We got that in the US for the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, the little mini Super Nintendo for those that have it. You have that on there.
Yeah.
which was released back in 2017. So we didn't lose out on that, and it was very much like the first Star Fox, just probably a little I guess you could say just a little more artsy. It wasn't as polygonish as the first one, but it
Right.
was still cool nonetheless. And they still utilized a lot of those elements into Star Fox 64 when it came out. So really, really happy to have this in the collection. I have very fond memories. I think it's going to be the case with most of these games I'm bringing up that back in my day, it was a big
Mhm.
thing to rent these. So I used to rent this at a about a Blockbuster, and I used to,
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to play it. And this wasn't a game that saved your progress. So I have to like think back, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it did not save your progress. So you had to spend those grueling hours playing through it. And I really had some great memories on it. And it wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily a multiplayer game, but it was a really engaging first player game that really, really got you.
Yeah.
It's just
I
really,
remember
really took you
going,
in.
getting home and then beating a couple of the stages, and then it would be dinner time, and I wouldn't hit next, so you would just pause it or whatever and just hope that it doesn't shut off on you, because otherwise you'd have to start over because it didn't
Right.
have those save features.
Just
And
just pray that the power wouldn't go off by using the microwave in the
yeah,
kitchen or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's that. I think it was really cool to bring this up again, and I think for me personally, I think it's one of those franchises that stand out there, or that has really that staple into game development. We always talk about Super Mario's and how great that franchise is. I think Star Fox for me is up there with that franchise. I know we talked about Final Fantasy for role playing games and other games like that, but Star Fox is pretty badass. It has a lot of things, um, a lot of innovative things that really change the gaming world. And you can see now in today's games, now these characters are, still you see someone that's gonna, let's say, cosplay as Star Fox. You're like, dude, that's Star Fox. Like that guy's really
It's
doing
so
it.
known now.
Yeah,
Everyone knows what it is. I mean, there's no going around it. It's not anyone, gonna ask, what is that? Everybody
right.
knows at this point. If you
We
know
should
gaming, you'll know.
Yeah. For Halloween, dude, we should go as like the team Star Fox. We just get two other people. I'll be Falco Lombardi for sure.
I guess it'll be Star Fox. We'll just say Toad got
Yeah.
shot down.
Okay. Usually he's the one
Slippy
that's getting shot down, because
or
isn't Toad the
Slippy.
slow one? Or the hare? No, it's Peppy. Peppy Hare is the
Peppy. Oh,
slow one.
there's Peppy's the
Oh,
bunny rabbit, and then Slippy's the
yeah.
toad. Okay, okay, I had to remember
Slippy's the
that.
Toad. Yeah. Yep.
So before we wrap this up, we have a very, as you know, Earl, a very scientific, a very, very formulated, been practiced for years before implementing it to our
Yes.
podcast
The
rating
ranking
system.
system. Rating
So we
system.
have a rating system that we're going to do, and for those that don't know, there's showcase it, which means you love it. You're going to put it up on your wall, laminate it, seal it. It is a
Hmm.
amazing product. The other one is one and done. You love the time that you had it, but it's worth a rental or maybe just a stream if it was a movie or just a quick play. Or the last but not least,
TP.
toilet paper,
TP.
TP. So,
Oh,
um, what would you give this, Earl, and why?
and again, going through what I just said earlier, this is legendary. This is up there for me because I remember playing this game. I have good fond memories of this game. This goes up there with the rankings. So this is definitely showcase worthy for me. This exact game, not even 64 or anything like that. I would take the SNES version Star Fox, the OG Star Fox, and showcase it. It had a lot of things that me as a kid I like growing up. Again, uh, fighter pilot jets, things that were cool back then. And I used to have, firefighter jet posters on my wall. And that's why I said this reminded me a lot about that, seeing, again, Top Gun back in the day and all this
Right.
stuff. I personally would showcase this. And for any of those that are younger and that haven't played it yet, just think about the technology it was back then, and try not to compare it to anything else that you have now, and just kind of absorb it and be like, this is pretty cool. It's talking about, I mean, you're flying through this game, you're not playing, again, I don't want to date myself where I'm talking about a previous
Too
game in
late
the
for
past.
that.
Yeah, this game is a showcase. With that said, Damien DiCarlo, what would you rank this game?
This game also, without a doubt, is a showcase for me. And the reason why is very similar to yours. It's something that again, you cannot look at this game in 2022 and not give it major props for the fact that you had to remind yourself this is not a 32-bit game like a PlayStation CD-ROM game. This was a cartridge 16-bit game. This was revolutionary in all its ways. It was fun to play. The replay value, I mean, to this day, I would replay it again and again. It's just, I'm not tired of it. The music was awesome. The
Yeah.
little drama of saving your teammates, it was awesome.
Yeah. And you get the beep, 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 these alerts and
These
stuff, and just
alerts, yeah,
the
yeah,
dialogues.
yeah. I give it 100% showcase. I definitely would. I mean, I do own the original copy still, so I definitely would put it up on a wall. If
Nice.
I haven't yet, I probably will.
Yeah, now it's one of those, it's a collector's item. Um, you played the Super Smash Brothers. Did you ever play Fox McCloud
I
on
did.
Super
I
Smash?
did. I
Yeah.
wasn't
Okay.
great
What was
with
his
Star
special
Fox.
power?
He had a ray gun. That's what I
Okay.
remember.
All right.
We do cool flips and stuff. I don't remember all his powers. I was more of a
Yeah.
Metroid Samus character that
That's what I was gonna say.
I mastered
Metroid.
that.
See, you know
So
you made it when different franchises aren't Super Smash Brothers. And I think that's what it is too. You know, this game itself. And I don't know if any of the other characters made it on. I know Fox McCloud was on, Super Smash Brothers. I don't know about the
yeah,
other three
I
characters,
I
but
believe he stayed throughout. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Smash
That's
Brothers
cool.
was definitely that's when you know you made a good impactful Nintendo game when you make a Smash Brothers game, part of the compilation.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he did very well. So I would
Awesome,
definitely
man.
encourage those that have not played Star Fox. It is available on the Switch, the Nintendo Switch right now. If you go to the Super Nintendo, I don't know if you would call it the downloadable app or just the channel, but it's the Super Nintendo section. You get that with your subscription. Star Fox is
Yeah.
on there. You can save state it, which is great. So you can just save your progress and either play it on your TV or take it on the go. Definitely get it, pick it up.
That's cool. Do it.
So we definitely want to do more games like this. I would love to do Turtles, if not next, definitely coming up. And let us know what you guys think of Star Fox. Let us know what games you would like us to cover. We definitely do that. But before we do go, Earl, where can folks find you on social media?
Y'all can find me on. You
Y'all.
guys can follow y'all. You guys can follow me on Instagram. Hey Earl Lawrence, right here. Boop boop. If you see that name, go ahead and send that request over, and I'll accept. But yeah, you can follow me on Hey Earl Lawrence on Instagram.
Send all your
Damien,
love letters to
follow
Hey
you.
Laura Lawrence.
Yeah, hit the DMs.
Hit the
No, I'm kidding.
DMs. Just slide on in the
Don't.
DMs.
Yeah, no. Okay.
You guys can find me at Damien with an A underscore DeCarlo on Instagram. Collectively, with all I do, you can find me on my website, www.makingageek.com. And until next time, everybody, I just say something simple. Just stay calm and game on.
Game
Good night,
on.
everybody.
Laters. Bye.